of the Summit Liga MX. I do not want to stop thanking Liga MX for allowing us to be part of the Summit 2021, which brings together the trends of the football and sports industry in the world for exchange knowledge and good practices. Welcome, everyone. So today we have the pleasure to have with us two of the main players in the technology world regarding new stadiums. I'm going to start with Skarpi Hedinsson, which is the Chief Technology Officer for SoFi, or SoFi, should I say SoFi?
SoFi, yeah.
SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, which is the newest built big stadium in the U.S. and probably in the world right now. Skarpi has a big background, specifically in digital things. He, among other things, he owns some patents in the which of course surprises me in the digital world. He has previously been in the TV industry with Disney and ABC, and currently he is the Chief Technology Officer with SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Welcome, Skarpi. Very nice to have you here. Can you?
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
Giving us a brief introduction of yourself.
Yeah. No. Listen. I'm a computer scientist, an engineer, if you will, by training. I came up through the technology side. I spent 18 years at the Walt Disney Company in various technology roles, specifically for consumer digital. So bringing or user experiences to television viewers. So we built streaming platforms for Disney and ABC for many years. And then about 4.5 years ago, I joined this amazing project in Los Angeles, which was at the time just starting. It was a construction site that they had just started the foundation when I joined. And so for the last 4.5 years, I've been on the site building both the stadium and the sort of general development of Hollywood Park. We have 300 acres of what we call here mixed-use development. So think about, surrounding the stadium, we have restaurants and retail district, we have residential, we have office buildings, etc. So all of that is sort of part of the same development.
Thank you very much, Skarpi, and we'll talk in later on. Let me introduce also Matthew Pasco, who is Vice President for Technology of the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not used to say Las Vegas Raiders, but I think I did it right. Matthew has been with the Raiders for 19 years, and he has seen all the transformation, not only of the team itself, but of course, jumping from the probably one of the oldest stadiums in the league to the newest stadium in the league. So it's an interesting path that we will talk later on. He was very well involved in all the construction and all the design of the technology of Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And even so, they haven't hosted any fan games yet because of COVID. They are ready to roll on 2021 and host with people. So thank you very much, Matthew. And if you can go deeper into your background and current status, please, will help us.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Well, as you stated, we completed our project, Allegiant Stadium, in 2020, on time and on budget, and then we immediately had to shut the doors due to COVID, which is terribly unfortunate. And we know everybody in Las Vegas and all over, our fans all over the world were welcome. We're looking forward to us welcoming them into the building, and we weren't able to do that last year. But now with COVID all but behind us and vaccinations flowing, we're going to be able to open to a full stadium for Raiders football. We'll also kick off with a Garth Brooks and a Guns N' Roses concert that have both been announced for July and August. Yeah, as you stated, I've been with the Raiders for 19 years. It's been a long, amazing journey. We've been working on trying to get some sort of stadium project done probably for the last 10 years. We didn't find a fit until the opportunity in Las Vegas presented itself. And we couldn't be happier. It worked out perfectly. The stadium is located just at the south end of the Las Vegas Strip, holds 70,000 people, has some of the finest technology in all of sports. And we think it's going to be the finest fan experience in all of sports. So we're looking forward to welcoming everyone in.
Thank you very much, guys, for the brief introduction. And why don't we get to the point, Matthew, with you, starting with you. Why don't you give us a brief description of what do you have in terms of technology? Let's go into roads. The first road will be specifically on fan touching points, and the other one will be on the backbone of the operation of the stadium itself.
Sure. So fan experience is the number one thing that's most important to our ownership and our organization. We want, when you come to a Raider game, we want you to have the best time possible. And my vision is that you shouldn't have to think about technology. It should just work. It's a public utility these days. You should be able to interact with the building as intuitively as possible with your mobile device, starting with, getting to the game, parking, mobile ticketing, rewards programs on your phone. And then once you're in the building and enjoying the game, you're there to watch a football game or a concert, and you shouldn't have to think about connectivity or lack of connectivity or anything. So, we didn't want to build technology for technology's sake. We wanted to build technology to enhance the fan experience, and we think we've done that. On the back end side, we built a converged network. We've seen historically, I've seen in the past a lot of buildings that had multiple different, layer one networks that didn't work well together. And what we've learned is that stadiums are some of the most versatile buildings out there. A skyscraper you might build, and you're going to build, data and phones and have, different connectivity for different businesses. But in a stadium, you've got, it's ever changing. You've got sports, you've got live music, you've got trade shows, especially in Las Vegas, where we're going to have a ton of trade shows in our building. And so your building technology needs to be able to be not only resilient, but adaptable to be ready to make those changes. So we felt a completely converged network was the way to go.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Interesting to also, and probably we can go deeper, the three of us later on that, how to monetize the experience, no? Because it's not only to be nice, but also we need to give a return on investment on our ownership. So it's an interesting point. Probably we can go later into that. Okay. So Skarpi, from your experience and how much of the SoFi Stadium was built around technology? That's one question. And the other question is, how much impact having two teams has on your technology operation? Are they looking for two different things, for many different things, for not only operation on the stadium, but also on the fan engagement?
Yeah. No, I think that's a good differentiator between our building and the building in Las Vegas, is that we are the home field for the LA Rams and the LA Chargers, and so So one of the things that we had to do, quite honestly, from a design perspective, is think about how do we brand and how do we bring content to our guests, because we couldn't put physical signage up that had one brand or the other. And so from a infrastructure perspective, we leaned heavily into digital technologies, digital signage throughout the building, video walls, and specifically a lot of LED deployment in the building. I would say that the technology and the guest experience was front of mind for our designers, right, from the very beginning. It started with the vision of our owner, Stanley Kroenke. He really wanted this stadium in Los Angeles to really push the boundaries for what a fan experience in an NFL stadium could be. And so one of the things that the building is really designed around is our massive video board that we have inside the building. It's so large that the entire structure had to sort of be designed around it and to accommodate a video board that large. And that's important because that is what we call a game day differentiator. We all know how good a job television broadcasts do in bringing sports and entertainment to the fans in the home. And so what we wanted to do is really give people an added incentive as to why you should come to the game. What are the things that you can experience on a game day that you can't experience at home? Now, we all know that fans come to the stadium to watch matches, to watch football match, to watch soccer, to see a concert, right? And Matt's absolutely right. We want to get out of the way of that, right? We also don't want them to feel like they're missing anything. And so one of the things that we've done is we've put a lot of emphasis on the infrastructure that we have to deliver that guest experience, whether that's through our media or through our what I call the more sort of functional technology that we have in the building, everything from ticket taking to concession stand transactions, etc.
Very interesting. Let me ask you both guys a question, and probably I'm trying to learn from you more than applying it to the summit. And how far out do you catch the fan? I mean, when do you know he's coming to your stadium, and how do you know that, and what do you start doing there?
Yeah, Matt, maybe you wanna take it maybe from an NFL team perspective, since you're closer to that than I am. But I can talk a little bit about, like, as a stadium company, as to how we think about understanding our guests, right? We obviously are very focused on marketing our events, and we work with our partners on the ticketing side, Ticketmaster, Live Nation, etc., to understand what sort of programming we should be bringing into the building. That would go for soccer as well. And we built a very purpose-built data platform to understand the signals that we're getting from the market, to be able to quickly know who's interested in our programming, who's buying tickets, and then allowing us to basically create a feedback loop to get back out to that audience to offer them, other programming, etc. So I think it all starts with promotions for non-football events, and really focus on programming and what we think is important for that market.
Sure, I'll talk football events. Of course, we know who our season ticket members are. We engage with them on our app with mobile parking, mobile ticketing. We know when they resell their tickets on the secondary market and transfer them to another fan, and then we capture that data, right? So if I sell my tickets to a friend of mine who's not in our database, then we'll capture that information as well to be able to market to them. We've also got rewards programs. We run our own merchandise and retail organization, and then of course share data between who attends the games and who buys merchandise, tie in food and bev while at the building, and you can get some really nice rewards there.
Okay, interesting, very interesting. In terms of fan engagement, there are several things. One is I would say the physical experience itself on how do you get to the stadium, how do you park in the stadium, how far out do you go to the gates, how far, sorry to say it, but the bathrooms are, how well the food is. That's like the physical part of the fan engagement, and it's one thing that we have a challenge. How much do you think technology, in terms of, let's say, percentage of the fan experience, plays a role in today's fan journey throughout the stadium?
Well, I think to your point earlier, there's technology that they interface with, whether that's the mobile app or the video boards, or any of the other technological aspects that they face at the game, from getting on their phones and using the internet while they're in the building. And then there's the technology that they don't really realize, and the behind the scenes technology in terms of recording if they had a good time, fan feedback, getting fan feedback to determine if they had a good experience or a bad experience, and then using that technology to store that information in a database, so that with a personal touch, one of our sales reps or ticketing reps can reach back out to that fan, and we say, hey, we understood you had a bad experience with, you went into a bathroom and it wasn't clean. How can we make that right? Or you had some food that you didn't enjoy, and we noticed that on social media you commented that you didn't enjoy it. So how can we make that right? Or, hey, we heard you had a great time, with your family. Maybe, we can steer you towards this other event that's geared towards families. So those are the type of things that technology plays a crucial role in the background, but the fan might not know, how we got that information.
But do you think, Matt, there's how much impact a bad technology experience has over a bad food experience, to say it in some way, has? So how do you differentiate the bad experience in the technology from the bad experience in the physical side of the business?
Yeah, it probably depends on the fan. If you're more tech inclined and you can't get your phone to work at the stadium, I'm sure you're going to have a really bad experience. But it really probably depends on the fan. But listen, everyone that enters our buildings these days interfaces heavily with technology, whether they actively engage in it or just passively by existing in the building. They're engaging in technology.
Very nice. Skarpi, let me ask you a question. I know COVID has played a big role into trying to understand our fan. Our fan will be significantly different once we come back. That's for sure. Behavioral will be totally different. That's my thought. But how much of an impact of what's the difference between the football fan and the non-football fan that you expect behaviorally, and what do they expect in terms of technology and in terms of what are we offering within the stadium? Are they too different? They're not too different. What do you? I know that COVID hasn't given you a taste yet, but what do you see there?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because we don't know yet, right? So we didn't have any fans pre-COVID, right? So we opened during the pandemic and played games with no fans. And so we don't have a baseline really that tells us what was it like before or after. But I don't expect like concert fans or fans for soccer, for example, to be very different from NFL fans. I think fans are after the same thing. And I think post-COVID, I think the really important thing is that everybody feels safe. I think that everybody feels like the stadium is frictionless in that, you know, we are allowing you to use mobile tickets. We are allowing you to use your phone for payments and all of those things that they've now come very accustomed to doing during the pandemic, right? And I think some of the things that we can learn from specifically what's happening with digital technologies and the impact that the pandemic had on some of that. And for me, it is it's very important for us to make sure that our guests, that they know what to expect, right? That they don't feel like they're surprised when they come to the stadium, right? It's sort of like if you are, you know, if you use a mobile ordering app like Postmates or DoorDash, you know, one of the things that you know mobile apps do really well, they keep you informed. They tell you what to expect. They set expectation, right? Everybody know that it's going to be challenging getting 70,000 people into a stadium, right? But if we can tell people ahead of time what to expect, for example, how long is it going to take you to get to the stadium? Is it going to take you an hour? Is it going to take you 30 minutes? Can you take public transportation? Can you take rideshare? What are those options, right? And what to expect when you get on site? Like, where do you park? How far is that from the stadium entrance, to your point? And in our building, it's particularly important that you come in through the right gate based on where your seat is. And so preparing you and preparing the fan for that before they come, I think is something that we can take away from, you know, sort of how we've all been living, i.e. we've got to understand what we're getting into and how best to navigate this new environment, right? And so I think there's a lot we can do with digital technologies, with messaging and with mobile applications to make sure that people aren't surprised, right? To make sure that they like, okay, I thought I was supposed to take a right over here, but now you're telling me I have to take a left to get to the stadium, but that's okay because we've actually given you the route that includes all of the closed streets that have taken place, you know, for this particular event, right? So I think that's really, really important, right? That we try to familiarize people with the environment and before they show up.
So are you sending to those fans general information, or do you know that I'm coming from Pasadena and I left my house at 3 o'clock? Do you know me from there? Or
yeah, so it sort of depends on what information you share with us, right? But for example, if you're a season ticket holder, to Matt's point, it's very likely that we have your address or phone number, right? It's very likely that we know that you have a ticket for a particular game, which means that, you know, in our mobile experience, you know, that morning we can start preparing you for, you know, your journey to the stadium, which is, you know, we expect the traffic patterns from Pasadena to be like this, right? We expect that your drive is going to take 15 minutes longer than on a regular Sunday, etc. So those are things that we can do, right? The challenge has always been like, you know, do people read emails? Do they read communications and things like that? And so I think that's where the mobile device has an advantage for us. You know, if we can get folks into the habit of using the mobile phone as a remote control, if you will, for your visit to the stadium, then I think that's something that is going to be very helpful in this new environment.
Very interesting. Matt, where are you standing on that? How far out are you, let's say, in a simple way, catching your fan throughout the game day journey or concert day journey? Or how far out do you catch him, and how far out do you start pushing messages to him?
Sure. And to Skarpi's point, it's how much do you engage with us? How much do you give us information? We encourage our fans to use mobile ticketing at all costs, mobile parking, mobile engagement, ticket transfer on your phone, all of those things. So the more information, again, that you give us, and of course we encourage that, the better we can facilitate and help you enjoy the entry experience and the getting there experience.
I think, one of the things that's really interesting is that you're always playing to a new audience, right? There's a rule of thumb, I think, in the NFL, and Matt, you probably know this better than I, but something on the order of 40% of the fans coming into an NFL building on any given Sunday is new to the team, i.e., the team or the promoter hasn't seen that individual before, i.e. they've never come to a game, or it's the first time they come this year, right? And so first impressions are really important, right? Because you always have a large number of people that are coming to your venue for the first time. It actually might be the only time that they come, right? And so it's really important that these steps are taken, and you're always thinking about how to be great at guest service and customer service, right? I come from Disney, and this has been ingrained into me, right? About how we treat the guest. It's something that the Walt Disney Company does really, really well. And I think it's a lot of it because, yes, there's repeat visitors, but there's so many people that are coming for the first time. And you want to make sure that that visit is memorable, right? And that these are things that, memories and experiences that are positive and they take back with them, right? That is something that's always good to keep an eye on. The other thing is, quite honestly, if we look at silver linings and the what we have today, specifically with mobile ticketing and how it helps us, right, is that back in the day when we had paper tickets that were basically traded on a market like currency, right? You would go on the street corner and you would sell your ticket, and so the tickets would change hands, and as the promoter or as the operator of the stadium, you did not know who was coming in your door, right? They were all unknown to you. But what's happening as we get more into mobile ticketing, as we get more into what I would call a structured way of sharing tickets, which is a digital way with a digital signature as the ticket changes hands, the less we are surprised, right? The more we know about who's coming into the building, and the better we can provide a service, right?
And Skarpi, to your point, I think with your building in Los Angeles and mine in Las Vegas, these are two of the more transient cities. So you've got folks coming in for other reasons to Las Vegas and to Los Angeles. So we're going to see new fans more often than you would in, say, a Green Bay or a Kansas City. So it's ever more important in our buildings and in our cities to capture that information, and then be able to then, market that to a fan. Maybe, look, I want nothing but Raider fans in our building. And I think we've done a pretty good job of selling to Raider fans, but we understand our tickets are going to change hands. And again, not necessarily hands, but they're going to change mobile devices. And to know that, hey, every year, fan John Smith comes in for the Denver game, that's something to know and something to market to. So again, of course we always want our own Raider fans in the building, but we understand that won't always be the case, and the ability to capture that information and sell that person on a Vegas experience is something that we want to do.
Yeah, there's a saying, and I think in the stadiums it applies very well. There's a saying that you never have a chance to give, you never have a second chance to give a good first impression, no? And I think in terms of in a stadium, that saying is it's. I mean, if you're not good at the first time, people will punish you.
And the very first impression that someone's going to get is how easy was it to get there? How easy was it to park if they drove, or ride share if they Ubered or Lyfted? And how easy was it to get into the building and find their seats? So again, we use technology to smooth all those processes, whether it's traffic flow, encouraging different fans from different locations in the city, how they come into the building, how they get to the building and park. We pre-sell all of our parking. We don't have a huge amount of parking on site on our property, but what we've done is we've created a parking group of other properties where we tell those properties, hey, listen, you tell us how many spots you have, and allow us to pre-sell your parking lot, and we'll give you, X percentage, and we'll manage the parking for you. We'll make sure the parking is secure. We'll make sure the parking that those fans come in through a specific route to ensure that traffic flows smoothly. And those are all things, the back end of that is all technology.
Yeah. Let me go to probably one of the toughest points that I've unless I've living. You're sitting in a stadium, and every week you receive people offering you apps and new opportunities and different things, and all of them are very excited. But the key thing is how to monetize technology. I think that otherwise than ticketing, the main business streams of revenue are very clear, no? Food and beverage, ticketing. Or how to monetize all the goodies that we receive every week from tech guys that are brilliant, but I feel that there's a challenge. I don't know if you agree with that, and how to do it.
Yeah, no, there's no easy answer to that. I think as technologist, as someone that works in this industry, I think it's very important for us to keep an eye on what you just mentioned, right? And Matt touched on this in his opening remarks, which is it's not technology for technology's sake, right? It has to be in the service of something. It has to be in the service of guest experience. It has to be in the service of the business, right? And I think certainly when it comes to guest technology, or experience technology, as I call it, there's got to be a ROI, a return on that investment that you can somehow quantify, right? Is it important for you because you're able to draw a different audience, or you're able to host different types of events because of the technology infrastructure you have? Those are all things that you simply must consider as you are talking to companies that are pitching new things, right? Because I think certainly what I have discovered, and I didn't come from stadium or construction of venue industries, is that it is not straightforward to operationalize these new things, right? It is a big effort to basically put something into a stadium that has to be operationalized at the front line, i.e., you have to train your people to use it. You have to raise awareness with your customers about it, right? That operationally you have to manage that now as a feature of your building, much like you would manage anything else, right? And so those are things that quite honestly, we as technology leaders, we have to take into account, and we have to play that's sort of straight down the middle, right? It's like I can understand why this technology is exciting, but I can also understand the challenges that we have to A, monetize it, or B, operationalize it, right?
Matt?
Yeah, additionally, I think you're right, Skarpi. You also have to be careful on how much you expect of your fans to adopt. Something may be the greatest idea in the world and the coolest, but if it's not thrown out at the right time, or it's not presented well, or it's or you've asked too much, or you haven't incentivized your fans to want to use it, it just may not work. So I think you just need to be careful on how much you push in front of your fans, and just be tactical about it.
Yes, how to not overbook them, no?
Exactly.
Over push, no?
Exactly.
It's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. Guys, I think we've covered a very good part of the objective of the session. Guys, so thank you very much for having you. I'm excited to hear your closing remarks on the talk that we have, on the friendly talk that we have. I'm impressed to resume everything in a line that Matt said, that technology is a public utility. I really like that. Today is like the light or like the water.
Hot water.
So it's interesting to put it in one line very specifically. So I'm excited to hear your closing lines, guys, and thank you very much. Matt, thank you.
Felix, thank you so much for the time today. As I stated in the beginning, we are just excited to open the building and welcome Raider fans, soccer fans, concert fans, everyone to our building. We're extremely proud of it. We think it's going to be one of the best experiences in sports and in live music, and we can't wait to host you. So come on up to Las Vegas, and we'll see you here.
Thank you very much. Skarpi?
Yeah, no, I listen, it's been a long journey, and we can't be more excited to welcome fans back in the building. We build these structures for the community, right? We build them for the fans, right? They're not complete without the events and our guests and our fans. And we built them to be multi-purpose, right? We build them as entertainment hubs, as sporting hubs. And like Matt, we are incredibly excited to welcoming our guests into the building. We're excited to have international soccer, to have maybe one day one of Liga MX teams play up here. We would love that. And like Matt, we're incredibly excited, and thank you, Felix. Thanks for the audience for spending this time with us.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Skarpi. And it's been an honor and a privilege to meet you here. Hope we can meet somewhere soon. And thank you all very much for your attention in this great talk we have just experienced. It has been a privilege to accompany this presentation, and I can only reiterate my gratitude and return the microphone to the studio. Stay tuned to Summit 2021 through Liga MX digital platforms. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Grandes escenarios, sin duda alguna, que hacen todavía mejor la experiencia deportiva para los aficionados. Ha llegado el momento de despedir este segundo día de actividades, recordándoles que aún se pueden registrar para tener acceso a todas las conferencias que ya se han realizado, y si usted se perdió una o quiere tener contenido exclusivo de las mismas, pues basta con que se registren en summit.ligamx.net. Es completamente gratuito, ahí podrá recapitular cada detalle de este gran evento de la Liga BBVA MX 2021. Aprovechamos para invitarlos el día de mañana a la misma hora, a las 9 de la mañana, para lo que será el último día de actividades del Summit MX de la Liga BBVA MX 2021. Escucharemos una charla sobre el Mundial del 2026 y cómo se prepara México para recibirlo. Cómo se planifica un año futbolístico, nos lo contará el director general deportivo de el Sevilla. Ubicarse en la cancha es fundamental y para ello el ruso Samu Gilny estará hablando con el director adjunto del área de metodología del Barcelona. Mientras que directivos del MIT y FIFA nos hablarán del futuro del dato en el fútbol, el director general de la Liga expondrá sobre la experiencia del aficionado y para cerrar, Nielsen y BBVA nos estarán dando una mirada diferente del valor cambiante de los patrocinios. Antes de despedirnos, queremos agradecer el apoyo a TUDN, a Univisión, a TV Azteca, Fox Sports, ESPN, Claro Sports y Chivas TV por la difusión de este evento, así como a los patrocinadores de la Liga MX, BBVA, Tecate, Charlie, Caliente y Void, para la realización del mismo. Muchísimas gracias por conectarse, por suscribirse y compartir sus opiniones. Los esperamos mañana en el Summit de la Liga BBVA MX.